Tracing your roots can lead to a treasure trove of information. For one journalist, it also meant a dark discovery. In tonight's Women's History Month story, Suzanne Rico and the Nazi past she uncovered. A lot of books that document all of this.
Yeah, I had to do my research.
That's journalist Suzanne Rico.
This is my grandfather right there.
Tackling old photos.
When I was a little kid, my mom never really told us any about this, right?
And family albums.
This was my grandfather as a child.
Vintage family videos from Germany show that grandfather she'd never met. Robert Lusser, aviator, aircraft designer, and father.
This is his obituary.
What's missing in that obit?
He was one of Hitler's top scientists. I say that and I kind of get sick to my stomach.
Robert Lusser was the father of the Nazi V-1 flying bomb.
He created the world's first cruise missile. And when I say create, I have to qualify that because no one person creates a missile or an atom bomb or anything like that. But he was the head of the project of the V-1 flying bomb, the Vergeltungswaffen, which means revenge weapon. And they wanted that as revenge against the Allies.
V-1 rockets killed thousands of people in Great Britain.
This is Deutschland's letzte Waffen im Zweiten Weltkrieg, Germany's last weapon in the Second World War.
My grandfather was a man named Robert Lusser.
Rico now has a podcast telling this jarring story. It's called The Man Who Calculated Death. You may recognize Rico from 2002 to 2010. She was a morning news anchor at KCBS.
This was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
I sat down with Rico, who spent the last 10 years on this.
I really wanted to know, what's the whole story? I'm a journalist. Okay, I'm going to ask these questions. And then I got into it, and I was like, oh.
How do you process that?
Slowly and carefully, and trying to balance any sort of generational guilt that you might feel, because there is.
History books note that Nazis charged with war crimes. Lusser was not, in fact.
And finally, in 1948, the Americans found him and brought him over.
Operation Paperclip was a secret U.S. intelligence program that brought Nazi scientists to America.
This is my grandfather right there, Werner von Braun, Hermann Oberth, who was a Einstein contemporary.
The time now was the Cold War.
The U.S. races for a super missile. So this was when von Braun and my grandfather were trying to beat the Soviets in the space race.
Lusser died in 1969. Rico asks herself this.
Was he a Nazi in his heart, ideologically, or was he just a brilliant airplane designer born in the wrong time and place?
Rico also had to face another reality of World War II, the Holocaust, the genocide of 6 million Jews by Nazi Germany and collaborators. It's so interesting to learn that your husband is Jewish.
All I could think about was my husband and my family, my children, doing the Hanukkah candles, lighting the Hanukkah candles.
So powerful. Tomorrow, part 2 on how it was her mother's dying wish that she'd take on the family story. If you read today's LA Times, you'll find an op-ed article by Suzanne Rico.